On this edition of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast, we wax nostalgic with two former Calgary Vipers who won the league championship 10 years ago today. Welcome to episode 55 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. If you've been following us on social media lately, there have been a ton of on-this-date posts as we track down the dates where Alberta teams won their respective league championships. From the Lethbridge Dodgers to the Medicine Hat Blue Jays to the Edmonton Trappers, a few teams have taken home their respective titles. The only professional baseball team in Calgary to win a championship was the Golden League Vipers. On September 12th, 2009, the Vipers outlasted the Tucson Toros 18-10 to claim the title in the friendly confines of Foothill Stadium. Jubilation for many on that team who had to come back from a heartbreaking loss in the final the year before to Orange County. To mark the occasion, we thought we'd check in with a couple of the players from that team. Leading off, Medicine Hat's Drew Miller, who had been with the team from the very beginning in 2005. By 2009, Miller had become a key cog for the Vipers, hitting .343 with 19 home runs and 70 RBIs. Drew, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. I've been excited and waiting for this moment for a long time now.
You're making the ego here at Alberta Dugout Stories just grow that much more by wanting to be on the podcast. That's fantastic. We've been wanting to get in touch with you about 2009 and the Calgary Vipers championship season. Take us back to 2009. Your memories as you took to the field, kind of in your hometown. I mean, it's Alberta, so you're in your own backyard, being a Med Hat boy, and getting an opportunity to play on that team.
Well, that team, for sure, after, 4 years from the inception of the team, I was kind of the local guy until Colin Morrow, I think, joined us that year, and it was great. I had so many friends and family that either just kind of randomly came through town or were just coming up on the weekend and being able to watch. It was a huge thing for me because I hadn't played in Alberta since I think I was 18 playing Legion. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot we needed to, I guess, prove after 2 years of losing in Game 5, which I think there was only 2 other guys that were on the team that experienced that bitterness twice. But, we came into that year going, we need to win, if not just for the city, for our owner, Jeff Gitney, who'd put so much time and money and energy into it, that we knew that he wanted one so bad, and so did we.
Talk about the moment where you guys realized that there was something to that season. Did you know from the onset, or did you guys go through a bunch of growing pains?
I don't really remember too many growing pains. I knew right out of the gate, especially with all of us, like myself, and I think it was Evan Grusel and Kevin Price. We were part of those other 2 teams. But then we had guys from the year before. I think Joe Sargent was on there, and Max Suzuki, I think, was there, as well as a couple other guys. And our whole kind of rhetoric before the season was, we're not going to let that happen again. We came too far. We don't want to. Like, you've watched the YouTube video, you get to see the last moments, and we have friends in Orange that played on Orange County that keep replaying it every year, all the time. And we just wanted everybody to know that this was our mission and that it didn't matter if we lost 1 or 2 in a row. We were going to go all the way, and we were going to make sure that was our only and ultimate goal.
You mentioned a few of the names there, but when you look at that roster and you think back, who really stands out to you as being sort of the linchpin to that organization, or was it a real team effort?
It was definitely a team effort. Like, everybody, if someone was in a slump, 4 other guys were hitting great. If one of those other guys went down, everybody else just kind of picked up the slack, and nobody, anytime anyone was in a funk or just was having troubles pitching or hitting or fielding, it just seemed like everyone else just kind of picked up the slack and nobody even noticed if someone was having an off day, an off week, or anything like that. Like, we had, I'd say myself and a couple other guys were probably the only 2 that didn't play affiliated ball in our entire roster, and everybody else was AA or higher. It seemed like it was an incredible group of guys that I got to learn so much from, some of them.
That season, you really had to battle all the way through, didn't you?
Well, especially when you have all the teams that we did, without all the, I guess the veteran rules weren't really around at that time. So we did have a pretty veteran squad, but then you look at Edmonton, who had the exact same mentality of they were going for those ex-big leaguers, ex-AAA guys, and a lot of the other leagues were able to get those same talents. So we were definitely in it right from the beginning, where everybody had strong teams, everybody knew coming in that that's the kind of personnel they needed to bring in. So it was always fun battling. It was some of the best competition I think I've ever faced.
Well, and clearly one of the big opposition happened to be the guys to the north, and there's a lot of stories about some of the rivalry with that Battle of Alberta. Any stories from that really stick out to you during that year, or even during your time with the Vipers, that made you go, man, oh man, that was the epitome of that battle?
Well, I think, obviously, I think the brawl was a huge one early on that just kind of, even though very few were from either Calgary or Edmonton at that point, there was still that feeling that we were rivals and that one of us always was trying to be better than the other. And that kind of set the tone for pretty much the rest of the history of both of our organizations. But I just remember facing like Lou Pote and him throwing me a knuckleball, which I'd never thought he had ever thrown in his life, and he snuck it by me for a strike. And after the game, I asked him, "Why did you throw me that?" And he just said, "We've seen each other for the last 2-3 years now. We've seen each other. We know each other. I just thought if I could sneak something by you, I'll try it once and you'll never see it again."
It's amazing how you develop those relationships even in a league like that. I mean, you get to know these players even if they are the opposition, and you get to have a little bit of fun at their expense as well.
Oh, absolutely. I know like a lot of guys on that team were also either a part of our team before or vice versa. So you've got to know a lot of the guys on each team, and the minor leagues or the independent leagues are very kind of small communities where everybody knows each other, and you're not really competing against them per se in the fact that you're trying to jump over them to get to the next level. Everybody's kind of pulling in the same direction. Everybody's trying to win, to further themselves, but not at the expense of somebody else not having that same opportunity, I guess. So we're all kind of pulling for each other. We all want to have fun. We all love this game, and we all kind of have the same values and ideas that we're trying to play for.
Walk us through some of the bus trips, some of the plane flights that you guys took part in over the course of the few years you were a part of the Vipers.
There were a lot of long trips in there, especially considering we were probably the furthest away from any of the leagues that we were in. I think one that I might have told you guys was the Dan Miller kind of fiasco, where we kind of lost a player who was a missing persons for I think 3 days. But we left Foothills at about 3 a.m. to drive to the airport. Got to the airport, got everything checked in, went all the way through. A bunch of us were just getting some breakfast, and over the loudspeaker, they tell us that the plane might be delayed, there's a problem, and that they'll get back to us. And our flight was around 7:30, I believe. Around 8:15, they get back to us and said they did find the problem and they're looking for a part. Hold on a second. So we wait another about 45 minutes. They come back on and they tell us, well, we found the part. It's in San Francisco and it's heading its way up here. This flight is now going to be canceled and everyone needs to find a different flight. So that was the Northern League at the time, and I think it was something around $15,000 of a fine if your team doesn't do everything possible to make a game. So all of us go all the way back through security, all the way back to the front gates, and we look for another flight. And the only flight that they could find with enough room was 13 passengers. So they made the decision to take our manager, Bushy, 9 position players, and a couple pitchers that can play positions as well. And I think we took off maybe around 1:30. And then we went all the way back through security waiting for our flight, and everybody's kind of texting back and forth with those that are on the other side of the gate and all those that are waiting for the flight. And we're all looking for Dan Miller, and they're wondering if maybe he fell asleep and didn't know that we went all the way back through. and we hadn't seen him. They didn't see him. So we get back on the flight. We fly to Chicago, and we have to drive all the way to Gary. So when we finally get on the bus, we're texting back and forth, and at that point, nobody had heard from him or knew what was going on. So we get to Gary. I think the game was around 7, and we got there at 8:30 at night, and we just figured, well, we did everything possible. They'll probably just cancel the game. And they just pretty much told us, you guys got 10 minutes or we're going to start. So we played that game. I think we lost 4-3, if I remember correctly, and we finished around midnight, right around the same time as we finished the game. That's when the rest of our players were just getting off the bus and coming to the locker room. And our manager told us the next day was going to be an 11 a.m. game for Kids Day. Oh. So it wasn't a whole lot of fun. I think most of us, when we got to the hotel, it was about 3 a.m, got a little bit of shut-eye, and then it was probably 36, 38 degrees that next day, and it was just hot. And, yeah, it was a rough one. But we found out Dan Miller, after we went all the way through, just decided to retire and quit, but didn't tell anybody. He got in a cab, got his car from the field, drove around Alberta for 3 days, and then finally they found him when he was trying to cross the border. So that was our one player that we lost for 3 days.
When you look back on days like that, do you just kind of scratch your head, shake your head? How do you think back on it? Because at the time, every emotion's probably going through you, but the benefit of hindsight, right?
Yeah, when you're doing it at the time, you're not super happy, but you're enjoying what you're doing, so you don't really worry about it too much. Now, when you think about it, you definitely laugh at everything that happened and are very happy with the way your body feels in the morning, not having to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. But those are the stories and the things that stand out. That when you think back, you can laugh with the guys if you're talking to them, or share stories with even like the college kids or the other kids of things to kind of prepare for, and that you just never have any idea of whatever the plan you may have may turn out differently. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches and do what you can.
On the flip side of it, you also had the opportunity to play with some future and former Major League Baseball players as well. Who, in your memory, sticks out as someone who you just couldn't believe their sheer talent?
There were a few. I know, like Max Suzuki. He just made the game look easy. Watching him throw his pens, and even talking to like Patrick Arliss, who caught him, and who was my roommate when we were in Australia, he would just be baffled that Mac would come in, he would throw his warm-up pitches, and Patrick would just be like, okay, your slider isn't very good today, so let's just go with your splitty and your fastball. And Mac would just be like, no, I just want to throw sliders today. And then Arliss would go back, call a slider, and it'd be one of the best sliders he's ever caught. And he's just going, I just don't get it. And he just made everything look effortless. Like, even if you watch the video of when we won the championship, he looked very nonchalant, like we just won another game and it wasn't a huge deal.
Take us back to that championship. You're playing Tucson. They didn't necessarily have the greatest of regular seasons that year. Was there a moment where you had to say, we can't take these guys for granted at all? And given that you had gotten so close in the last couple of years, I assume it was, we got to go balls to the wall here.
Yeah, we definitely didn't want to get to Game 5 again. After 2 years in a row of being so close and not doing that, we needed to win as soon as possible and as many games as possible. We weren't going to take that chance on practically a fifth game that anything can happen type of thing. So we made sure we tried to come out of the gates as hard and as fast as possible and take as many games as we could. And that's kind of how we did the whole playoffs. We couldn't let it go much longer and have one pitcher kind of decide the game, kind of like Willie Glenn did back in 2007, or just a crazy fifth game like we had in Orange County, where each one of us scored multiple runs in the first, I think, 2 or 3 innings, where it was, both starters weren't very good that day. So, we just went out there and made sure that there was no doubt in who was going to win that series.
Even beyond that, like you said, all playoffs. I mean, you have to face Edmonton in the semis. I mean, it was not an easy trek even through those guys, given the rivalry aspect.
Yeah, they were never an easy one. When you look at some of their pitchers that they had, I think, I know they always had Lou Pote there. He was a long-standing guy there. And then Michael Johnson, another guy that was in the big leagues. And I think it was either that year or the year before is when they picked up Jose Lima. So now you've got a guy that had won a Cy Young, and he might not have had the zip he had before. He still knew how to pitch. And, yeah, it was always a great battle. It was almost like two AA teams or AAA teams going at it, depending on who was on the mound. And it was each team just knowing that, yeah, this is pretty much for the province here. And yeah, we're going to battle, and we're going to make sure that one of us comes out, but it has to lick some wounds before the next series.
What was it like being one of the Alberta boys, being able to win a championship, and not only that, but play for a team that was from your home province?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. I do remember winning when I was in Richmond for my very first year. It was very surreal because I was only there I only played for half the season, so I kind of felt like I was a part of it, but not at the same time. But being with the same team for like the last 4 years, being with some of these guys for multiple years, and this being from Alberta and bringing a championship to this city was amazing. It hadn't had a championship in a long time, especially for baseball, and we just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that we had a great product here that we wanted to keep around as long as possible, and that people should come out and enjoy a great summer day.
What did it mean to you also to be well thought of within the community? I mean, when people think back to the days of the Vipers, your name is almost synonymous because of the good seasons you had here.
Yeah, it was amazing having some of the coaches like Bushy and Burkhart that just kind of saw something in me. I know the first few years that I was here, they were definitely kind of and some people always ask, did I take steroids or something? When I also had some great seasons, I said, well, no, I just ate kangaroo in Australia a lot. But they took me under their wing and kind of showed me some of the things I love teaching these kids now and college kids that really, really translated well into my game and turned me from like a slap hitter into a power hitter. And I do remember, even from my time in Richmond, after every game, didn't matter if we lost big, won big, or anything, when we had a home game, we had to sit in the dugout and all the fans would come along and either talk to us or get something signed. But we had to do that. And I took that same mentality here to Calgary, where I was going to stay there and talk and sign until they turned the lights out, which still sometimes didn't stop me, and just become part of the city as much as possible. I didn't want anybody to feel like we didn't care about the community or the fans that were coming out. So I really made sure that I was out there talking, discussing, and just trying to be just like a normal player, but letting everybody know that, yeah, we are given some special gifts, but we don't think any less or more of anyone else.
You mentioned a couple of coaches there, one being Morgan Burkhart, who was your manager in 2009. You also had Boots Day as your hitting coach here. Walk us through that coaching staff and what they meant to you in getting that championship to Calgary.
Well, like Morgan, when he showed up as our hitting coach, Bushy had kind of laid a little bit of groundwork, especially for my swing personally. But he really just took over and gave me so many different tools and weapons and even just ideas on how to hit that I can see now why he's a minor league hitting coach and having such great success at this point. But as a manager, yeah, he was foot on the gas pedal all season long. Like, it didn't matter if we were down by 6 or down by 10, or it was a travel day game where everybody just feels groggy and horrible. It was, we're playing every single game to win. And I think that also kind of helped us once we got to playoffs, where every game already mattered before. So why wouldn't it already matter then? And then when you got Boots Day coming in with it's amazing to know when he told us that every year has been a 1-year contract, and for him to have all the stories and knowledge that he did, it was great just to be able to talk baseball and work with him and have him look at your swing and pick out one or two little things and just give you some tips to work on. And then, I just worked on as much as possible, and just to watch him throw BP almost every single day to every group, thousands of pitches, it was amazing.
Final question for you. What is one piece of advice or one life lesson that you took from your days as a Viper, a champion in 2009, that has always stuck with you, that you hold near and dear to your heart, or even beyond that, you try to pass along to those you're coaching or teaching?
Oh, there's so many, so many good things. I'm trying to think of one now. I think mainly just no matter what your situation, if you work hard enough, you can turn that around, and you can, I guess, reinvent yourself as a baseball player, and you can always improve and become something more than you ever thought. For a long time, I was just an average guy that would hit some doubles here and there. I'd get my 3 home runs a year, and that'd be about it. But by working hard and getting out there and having teammates that support you so much, you can achieve a ton of amazing things where even though I didn't make the big leagues, I wouldn't trade any year that I ever had here in Calgary because of the special people that I've been able to meet and learn from. And now I get to take all these hitting drills and life lessons and crazy road trips and crazy just events that I never thought I'd ever see, and give these kids hopefully a leg up on someone else, and maybe they can achieve more than ever I could dream of.
Drew, it has been fantastic being able to wax a little nostalgic with you and take a trip down memory lane. Thanks so much for sharing the stories and for joining us here on the podcast.
No, thanks so much for having me here, and I love listening to it. So I look forward to listening to this one as all the other ones to come.
Next up is pitcher Joe Sargent, a draft pick of the Florida Marlins. The California native found himself north of the border for that bitter loss in 2008, and he, along with many others, vowed to make it up to his adopted city the next year. And as it turns out, he'd find a home here in Alberta, as he's now coaching with the Okotoks Dogs and Dogs Academy. Joe, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Take us back to 2008, 2009, and what it was that led a California kid to be playing baseball with the Calgary Vipers of all teams.
Well, I mean, I think I was in Fargo it even goes back even further. I was in Fargo from playing for the Red Hawks from 04 to 07. And this team, Calgary, comes into town and into the league, and they start playing, and a lot of guys that I knew from my playing days in Florida were on this team. So I knew that, as my career got later and later into my life, that I would like to have played on the West Coast at some point in my life. And so when the Vipers kind of hit the Golden League in 2008, the kind of stars aligned, and I became a free agent and signed.
Do you remember what your first impression of Calgary was?
Oh man, it was great. It's different. I was thought that, growing up in California and hearing about Canada and stuff like that, the typical stereotypes. It's cold. 12 months a year here. There's igloos, and so when I got up here, I was like, man, this place is really, really nice. It's a big city, and they got a hockey franchise, they got a football franchise, and where the stadium was located, I mean, left field is McMahon Stadium, so it was really, really cool to kind of see it.
Talk about integrating into the Canadian lifestyle. Was there anything that really took you aback from a non-baseball perspective here? The people here are so friendly, so incredibly friendly. It's amazing. Growing up in California, it's not quite New York, but it's very a very high-paced, fast-paced lifestyle. And if
in the backseat at all, you get left behind, So coming up here, seeing the people here and talking to the people here, it was great. It was, something I really enjoyed, and I could see myself, I guess spending more time outside of baseball here.
And as it turned out, that worked out really well. Talk a little bit about that first season in Calgary. When I was talking to Drew Miller about it, he said that there was already some feelings like, man, we're getting so close. We want to win a championship. And you almost got there in 2008. And that really kind of left a bit of a sour taste in everybody's mouth by the sounds of it, because you wanted to get to the promised land in 2009.
Yeah, 2008 was just, I don't know if I've been more heartbroken after a season than that year. Heck, we're in Orange County. We're playing the Flyers. They're managed by Gary Carter. That one of the owners is, the big hot show back then was Desperate Housewives, and the Mike the plumber, or Mike the main guy on the show was part owner. Mm-hmm. So they're there in, game 4 and all the desperate, there's some other Desperate Housewives there, like Terry Hatcher and a couple others that were there. And watching the chance for them to win. And I was lucky enough to pitch that night and went out and beat them. We got to game 5. We took a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 9th, and we couldn't get an out in the bottom of the 9th. We get walked off on, and that plane flight home and everything that year, how much it hurt that year, just kind of motivated us. We all sat there in the locker room after. We're like, yep, we're all coming back. We got to get this thing finally. And when 2009 came, a lot of the same players were all back. So we knew there was no messing around that year. Very much a business-like effort, and we pulled it out.
Was there a moment during that 2009 season where you started to realize, hey, there's something special about this group, or was it there from the onset because of how little of a turnaround you guys had between the 2008 and 2009 teams?
I think day one when we got there, there was no every kind of championship team. A lot of them talk about this is the moment, this is the turning point in a season where they figured it out. But I think for us is training camp. Right, day one we got there, we had, I think it was a May 7th, May 8th, whatever reporting date we had, and we had guys here 2 weeks early. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, we're getting after this thing. We had a bunch of veteran players that were, wanted this ring one more time, and mixed in, with a few of the newer players, young guys like Colin Morrow, and the whole team was just kind of a match that we all got along, and we were ready to go from day one.
Was there a particular player or group of players that really helped drive that message home from the onset and really kind of stood out above the rest that season in your mind?
I think one guy we knew, Drew's, he'd been there from day one. Guys like Evan Grissel was there from, kind of day one. But I think the one guy that kind of really drove us was our shortstop, Nelson Castro. I think he was our biggest catalyst. The guy hit .410 that year, or around that. Played shortstop for us. He was kind of like the rock that we needed. We knew that anytime that we needed a big play to be made or a big at bat, he was there for us and came through for us. I think he was the guy that kind of just sparked us every single night. We leaned on him when we needed him the most, and he came through every single time.
Just to get to the final that year, you had to go through Edmonton in a best-of-5 series. What do you remember most about that rivalry?
That was probably one of my favorite series. We played them in 2008, and now living here, the Battle of Alberta is a big thing between Calgary and Edmonton, and it kind of started to form in the baseball community during those 2 years, and that 2009 season kind of culminated with it. And both teams had just great players on each side. There was big leaguers and and multi-year veteran players that were playing on both sides, and being able to play against each other, it was really nice to kind of play against a team. You knew that the winner of that series, we knew that whoever won that series was going to win the whole thing, because we'd played each other, I think it was like 22 times that year. So we knew each other very, very well. We played them all in the second half. And when we got down to the playoffs, it was like, all right, this is it. This is the finals. We felt like this is the finals. And it's funny because like a guy like, I work with Lou Pote now down in Okotoks, and we were matched up for 2 years in a row in Game 1 of 2008 and Game 1 of 2009, and we faced each other again in Game 4 of that same series that year. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of fun to like kind of look back now, and me and Lou, we're good friends and coworkers now. And in that series, we were going up against each other in Games 1 and 4.
Were you guys pretty good friends at that point? Did you get to know each other during that series or during those games between each other? Or was there any rivalry beforehand? And even now, do you poke a little fun at him maybe for it?
I think it was when we were playing against each other, we knew of each other because of he was in Edmonton for forever, and I was in Fargo and then Calgary, and we faced each other so much. We became like friends through kind of like what you said, like a rivalry, kind of like a respect. We respected each other's game because every night we knew we'd face each other. It was going to be, it was going to be for a battle because neither of us were going to give in. And now, like, looking back, we chirp each other a little bit. He gets me, I get him, and it's fun because like we'll even throw live to our hitters now, and like there's still the competitive juices are there. We go back to back with each other where there's two mounds, and I'm in one mound, he's on the other one, and we're still competing against each other to give up the fewest amount of hits.
Fantastic. You guys get into the final. You face Tucson, who didn't really run the table at all in the South. I mean, they were a 500 team. How important was it for you guys to make sure that you didn't take them for granted in that series? And I mean, they did win one off of you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, we knew it was great because we were able to travel down there first, whereas in 2007 and 2008, we hosted the first couple of games and then had to travel. So we knew that if we could at least get one of those games down there, we knew we could win the series at home because we were tired of being the visitors watching the home team win. So we wanted to be that home team. So we knew going down there that we needed to get one. And luckily we ended up getting both games down there. And in Game 3 we had to because there was a rain out. There's a rain out in the series before, in the Tucson series before that, so they had to push the series back. So we didn't really have an off day between Games 2 and 3. So we played Game 2 that night, had to travel back the morning of Game 3 to play, and actually Tucson beat us to the stadium. And ended up beating us in the game too. So, but yeah, they're able to beat us up here. But we knew then Game 4, we knew it was going to be ours.
I gotta ask, what was it like winning a championship on home field?
Oh, it was electric. We knew, and going back to like kind of what I said about Nelson, we were in Game 3. We were, I think it was like the 7th or 8th, and by that time they had, just blown the game open. I think it was like 9 or 10-0 or something. And we were all just kind of sitting there, and Nelson just goes, "That's okay. We'll get him tomorrow. We'll be rested tomorrow. We'll get him." And we came out the next night, and they're throwing their number one. And I don't even think he got out of the third. There was a fire that I've never seen in this team that was like, this is not going to happen again to us. This will not happen again. So we went out there and we just destroyed the baseball that night. And, by when it was all said and done, it was just, counting outs at that point.
Mm-hmm. Hard to believe that was 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Right. I know. 10 years ago, it's been, and it's funny because like now I'm in Okotoks and, it was 10 years ago from our last championship win, and then we ended up winning it this year. So it's kind of an eerie kind of feeling that 10 years ago, It's been 10 years since that happened.
using your experience from that, is that something that you used for your teachings and tutoring of the guys who play for you now?
Yeah, I mean, I think big, like with the college guys in the WNBL, I think, or now the WCBL, I think moving over from in the Okotoks and having to play Edmonton now, I mean, we kind of keep that, even though it's not it's not Calgary per se, it's still kind of the Calgary area versus Edmonton rivalry, and having that kind of rivalry still going, and Edmonton beating us, 3 years in a row up there, same ballpark that I got to play in and stuff like that. This year, we went up there again, had to play them again, and just being able to go up there and kind of, tell the players about, what it's like, what their fan base is like, what the field is like, what the kind of atmosphere is like there, kind of settles our guys a little bit more, being able to play in that atmosphere up there. I mean, it's a rowdy. I think it's one of the rowdiest in the league, and it's kind of being able to play as a Viper against Edmonton now has helped me as a coach.
Absolutely. When you look back on your years as the Vipers, what stands out most for you?
Oh man, all the guys, all the relationships that I made. The chance to wear the Calgary on my chest, and being able to bring the first and only professional baseball championship here to Calgary. I mean, who knows when we're going to get another professional team here, but being able to be a part of the first and being able to look back and talk to all the guys now that we're all coaches. We're all I think Lentini, Phelan Lentini was the last guy to play, and he's in Medicine Hat coaching in the summer. So being able to connect with those guys, former teammates and all that stuff, that's the one thing I'll miss. The team will kind of fade off into the sunset and stuff like that, but we still have that championship together. We have those bonds. It's great, being able to the 10-year reunion of it, to kind of look back and say, hey, we did something great for the city.
When you look back on those years, was there one piece of advice or one life lesson that you took away from it that will always stick near and dear to your heart?
I think never. The one biggest thing that I remember from it is, we play this game from the time we're 5 years old until the jersey finally gets taken off your back, and the guys that win championships, you're not gonna remember what games you won, what games you lost, what season you played in, but a championship, it'll never be taken from you. And I've always told guys that they never remember second place, but champions, you'll never forget being a champion.
And clearly you still remember moments at the snap of a finger, which is pretty fantastic. Joe, thanks so much for spending some time with us and sharing some of your memories from 10 years ago.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to both Drew and Joe for sharing their memories of that 2009 Golden Baseball League championship season. We also want to thank you for downloading and listening. If you enjoy this podcast, leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening. We are available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Until next time, thanks again for all of your support, no matter the platform, of Alberta Dugout Stories.